Hello and welcome to Lazy Cinema, and on this episode, we're going to see how Vin Diesel stars as Ray Garrison, a soldier who witnesses his wife's murder, to be transformed into one of the world's best killing machines, only to find out that not everything is as it seems, and sometimes even the lowest people can be mistrusting in 2020's Bloodshot. Hello everyone and welcome to Crazy Cinema, and today we're talking about Vin Diesel in Bloodshot, based on the Valiant comics created by the one and only Jeff Walden. This is kind of like the poor man excuse for a superhero film, and really fits the ladder of what a superhero film should not be. And especially when it comes to Bloodshot, yeah, he fills in that ladder. Bloodshot is the film about Ray Garrison, played by Vin Diesel, who is suddenly killed without any explanation. And during the film, they don't bring it up until towards the ending of what officially happened. I know that this is supposed to be based on a comic book character, one who I never read, sadly. I never had the pleasure of reading about. But this does give me the inclination that this is not how you do a superhero film at all. And clearly, no, it's not. This film feels very fast paced, and maybe that's because, as we all know, 2020, the epidemic happened. Speaking of that, I'm pre-recording this before I get my booster and before I go to the dentist, so I am not in like constant pain and trying to force myself to do these videos. So the earlier, the better, and also I realized that there were movies I haven't talked about that I wanted to on this channel yet, or if I did, I accidentally deleted the videos, so oops. So, but anyways, Bloodshot is, yeah, it's a famous character. I hear a bunch of people always talking about him, but what is, like, the biggest selling point of Bloodshot? I never read him, but just from pictures, I believe him to be like the futuristic version of almost Marvel's The Punisher, which I like both Punisher movies. And if they did that with Bloodshot, that would have been fine, except they're trying to do too much with as little time as possible. The CGI in this is awful. The story is barely held together with villains who you don't care about because they're only doing it for their own personal gains. And it does feel like that they're using it for manipulation purposes, which does come to play a lot later in the film. But for someone like David S.C. Wilson, this doesn't feel very tied into it. And especially when they do give you the good plot summary of it, you realize that it's all just for a bunch of bullcrap, and it really is. I will give you this, that even though this is a bad movie and it's clearly one of the worst superhero films I've ever seen, trying to redial the early 90s or late 80s into action films to now, Vin Diesel still does a good job of portraying what he can do on screen, but it does feel like a lot of times that Diesel is conflicted, and I do feel that when he's trying to portray himself as Ray, because he doesn't seem like he knows what's going on, and that's just because, you know, the character just died and then just recently came back to life thanks to nanobots, but it also feels like he's like for Vin Diesel himself, he's very confused because it's probably like you only have a certain number of filming days, and roughly so because this film takes place in a lot of different places. I mean, they're going everywhere and doing everything, so it's kind of like they had a bigger script, but they had to cram it down to a certain number, which I wouldn't be denied of what did happen, especially that this film came out during the heyday of 2020. I do remember seeing trailers for it by that time. So that does give me the inclination that maybe this has happened. That maybe it was around a time when the virus was really becoming an epidemic, when everything had to be closed down for the longest time, and we all had to be quarantined. We all remember how that was. That was fun times. wasn't it? But yeah, and even that this film had the audacity to include extended scenes and an alternate ending, which really wouldn't make it any better. I will admit that some of the fight scenes are well done, except if you like almost in-game scene or sequences happening, because a lot of the fight scenes do feel like that they're coming from a game. To be exact, probably from an Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3 cutscene. That's really what it feels like. Yeah, I know the joke of TMNT 2007 was that it felt like a lot of game cutscenes, but here's the thing. I like that movie. I like TMNT 07. You people can say what you want about it. I will defend it with all my honor because I like it so much. This is clearly not a way to do it. But let's compare and contrast those two films for a minute. TMNT 07 shows a more grown up and more developed team for the TMNT crew, showing off what they have been doing, and when they come back together, how good it is for them to be together instead of separate. And in this film, we're shown a superhero who just likes shooting people because his boss said so, and also does manipulative things to get him to do so. Fun. They even do a lot of. They even use his wife of all things, showing her dying again and again and again, only to reveal a much more really stupid secret. If you have already figured it out, congratulations. If you haven't, just watch the film and be prepared to slap your head 1,000 times. When this film was over, I actually did sigh really loudly, and I actually put my head and buried it in my pillow because there is so much stupidity that cannot be contained here. You know, there are bad superhero films, but some of them are bad for good reasons, like they're so bad you will watch them, or they're so bad and stupid, but you can still laugh at it. One of the prime examples is probably both Spider-Man 3 for its good story, despite it still being a bad film, and also Batman and Robin because it's trying to be something new, but at the same time just being flat out silly. This does not go to either one of them categories, and in real honesty, I would destroy this, but I kinda need it to do for my end of the year list. But clearly it's one of the worst Vin Diesel films I've ever seen, and especially since I've seen a good number of them, being that Fast and the Furious is one of them, as well as Triple X. This one is just in that category of not doing so well, and especially how Vin Diesel puts himself through, of all things, to pacify with people complaining was bad for him. To be honest, I really like that film. But this is probably his worst performance ever, with a lackluster story, some very terrible actors and actresses, I'm sorry to say, and a director who had his head stuck in a comic book and then trying to make different ideas for himself off and on and on. As a guy who's very interested in multiple things all at once, this director feels a lot worse than I am. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out some more of Lady Cinema. And what did you think about BloodShot? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And also, please be an assassin or a soldier yourself by liking this video, subscribing, sharing this video around the internet, and follow me at Twitter with a link in the description down below. Also, if you are a soldier, I salute you for your good and wonderful service. And if you're a doctor and nurse during these times, you all deserve a salute for your awesome service during these hard times, and especially Walgreens too, we're trying to get everybody with a booster. But this film is just one of the worst. So until next time, guys, I'm Lady Universe, and I'll see you next time on Lady Cinema.